Philippines' economic outlook. After GDP growth rebounded sharply in Q2, largely due to a supportive base effect, the economic landscape appears to have deteriorated in Q3. A surge in daily COVID-19 infections that began in July forced a gradual tightening of restrictions that culminated in a 2-week lockdown of the capital in August. The services sector likely fared worse than the manufacturing sector, given its susceptibility to restrictions. That said, the manufacturing PMI slid into contractionary territory in August, on the back of supply chain disruptions and faltering output. Moreover, growth in both exports and imports receded in July to August, indicating deteriorating demand dynamics, while remittance growth hit a 6-month low in August, likely inhibiting consumer spending in the period. A sluggish vaccination campaign and shortages of healthcare workers bode poorly for the economy in the final stretch of Q3. Philippines' economic growth. GDP growth should gain steam in 2022, boosted by higher consumer spending and an improving external sector, although milder public spending and the ongoing pandemic will likely temper the acceleration. Next year's election is a key risk. With the president's decision to stand for vice president, the presidency is limited to one term, potentially causing political conflict. Focus Economics Consensus Forecast Panelists project GDP to increase 4.6% in 2021. For 2022, they forecast economic growth of 6.8%, which is down 0.2 percentage points from last month's estimate. Understanding Filipino traits, values, and culture. Last updated September 27, 2021 by Outsource Accelerator. Metro Manila, Philippines. Update: Coronavirus COVID-19 is forcing a lot of companies to review their traditional staffing, offshore, and work from home (WFH) options. Outsourcing enables businesses to slash costs whilst at the same time maintain and rebuild their companies. Read our dedicated COVID-19 articles here. COVID-19 Business Recovery Action Plan. There are plenty of reasons why many businesses prefer to outsource their processes to BPO companies in the Philippines, and these include the high linguistic and cultural compatibility between Filipinos and their clients. This factor not only affects the quality of service provided by the workforce, it also plays an important role in how office dynamics work. To conduct a harmonious and effective working relationship, both parties should take the extra mile in familiarizing themselves with the culture and values of the people they are working with. To understand the Filipino talent and the BPO industry in the Philippines, one has to take a look at the country's history and understand Filipino culture and traditional values. What are Filipinos known for? The term kapwa, or a shared inner self, lies at the core of Filipino values and psychology. A person who treats another as a kapwa has a shared sense of identity and consciousness with that other person. Get 3 free quotes. 900 plus BPO suppliers. Learn more. Both at the individual and community level, strong emphasis is placed on social acceptance and maintaining social harmony. As such, social approval and caring about what others will think, say, or do strongly influence social behavior. Here are some of the values that Filipinos are known for. The family. The family is at the center of the Filipino community. Children are not expected to leave their parents' house until they get married, and even after then, many couples opt to stay with or close to their spouse's parents. Also, they're expected to care for their aging parents instead of sending them to a retirement home. This is why it's common to see different generations or multiple families living in a single residence. The value that Filipinos put into caring for one's family can also be seen as one of the reasons why nurses and caregivers from the country provide their patients and clients with a high level of care. Humor and positivity. Optimism, humor, and positivity are valued traits in the Philippines. The country has a long list of national holidays, and many provinces and cities have their own sets of local holidays. At the same time, in the face of difficult or challenging situations, members of the community are encouraged to look at the brighter side of things. The inclination for finding the good in the bad can be traced to the country's location, which lies in the path of typhoons and sits along the Pacific Ring of Fire. In a place where natural calamities are commonplace, humor and positivity work as a coping mechanism, much like how some children laugh to hide their embarrassment after slipping or falling. The world in 2025, 8 predictions for the next 10 years. In 2025, in accordance with Moore's Law, we'll see an acceleration in the rate of change as we move closer to a world of true abundance. Here are 8 areas where we'll see extraordinary transformation in the next decade. 1. A $1,000 human brain. In 2025, $1,000 should buy you a computer able to calculate at 10 to the power of 16 cycles per second, 10,000 trillion cycles per second, the equivalent processing speed of the human brain. 2. A trillion sensor economy. The Internet of Everything describes the network connections between devices, people, processes, and data. By 2025, the I/O will exceed 100 billion connected devices, each with a dozen or more sensors collecting data. This will lead to a trillion sensor economy driving a data revolution beyond our imagination. Cisco's recent report estimates the I/O will generate $19 trillion of newly created value. 3. Perfect knowledge. We're heading towards a world of perfect knowledge. With a trillion sensors gathering data everywhere, autonomous cars, satellite systems, drones, wearables, cameras, you'll be able to know anything you want, anytime, anywhere, and query the data for answers and insights. 4. 8 billion hyperconnected people. Facebook, Internet, Org, SpaceX, Google, Project Loon, Qualcomm and Virgin, OneWeb, are planning to provide global connectivity to every human on Earth at speeds exceeding 1 megabit per second. We will grow from 3 to 8 billion connected humans, adding 5 billion new consumers into the global economy. They represent tens of trillions of new dollars flowing into the global economy. And they are not coming online like we did 20 years ago with a 9600 modem on AOL. They're coming online with a 1 megabit per second connection and access to the world's information on Google, cloud 3D printing, Amazon Web Services, artificial intelligence with Watson, crowdfunding, crowdsourcing, and more. 5. Disruption of healthcare. Existing healthcare institutions will be crushed as new business models with better and more efficient care emerge. Thousands of startups, as well as today's data giants Google, Apple, Microsoft, SAP, IBM, etc., will all enter this lucrative $3.8 trillion healthcare industry with new business models that dematerialize, demonetize and democratize today's bureaucratic and inefficient system. Biometric sensing, wearables, and AI will make each of us the CEOs of our own health. Large-scale genomic sequencing and machine learning will allow us to understand the root cause of cancer, heart disease and neurodegenerative disease and what to do about it. Robotic surgeons can carry out an autonomous surgical procedure perfectly, every time, for pennies on the dollar. Each of us will be able to regrow a heart, liver, lung or kidney when we need it, instead of waiting for the donor to die. 6. Augmented and virtual reality. Billions of dollars invested by Facebook, Oculus, Google, Magic Leap, Microsoft, HoloLens, Sony, Qualcomm, HTC and others will lead to a new generation of displays and user interfaces. The screen as we know it, on your phone, your computer and your TV, will disappear and be replaced by eyewear. Not the geeky Google Glass, but stylish equivalents to what the well-dressed fashionistas are wearing today. The result will be a massive disruption in a number of industries ranging from consumer retail, to real estate, education, travel, entertainment, and the fundamental ways we operate as humans. 7. Early days of Jarvis. Artificial intelligence research will make strides in the next decade. If you think Siri is useful now, the next decade's generation of Siri will be much more like Jarvis from Iron Man, with expanded capabilities to understand and answer. Companies like IBM Watson, DeepMind and Vicarious continue to hunker down and develop next-generation AI systems. In a decade, it will be normal for you to give your AI access to listen to all of your conversations, read your emails and scan your biometric data, because the upside and convenience will be so immense. 8. Blockchain. If you haven't heard of the blockchain, I highly recommend you read up on it. You might have heard of Bitcoin, which is the decentralized, global, democratized, highly secure cryptocurrency based on the blockchain. But the real innovation is the blockchain itself, a protocol that allows for secure, direct, without a middleman, digital transfers of value and assets. Think money, contracts, stocks, IP. Investors like Mark Andreessen have poured tens of millions into the development and believe this is as important of an opportunity as the creation of the internet itself. Bottom line, we live in the most exciting time ever. We are living toward incredible times where the only constant is change, and the rate of change is increasing.